Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to overview the doc protocol. If you're new here, please check out my video how this channel works. Nothing here is financial advice. I am just a guy on the internet reviewing his methodology to see if it is effective, and I will review everything in the future to see how effective I am at predicting the price performance of projects over time. So this is the overview of the project. You can see that they have good team memberships, good governance. They don't have a product launched, which is uncertainty there, mixed social media awareness, and good token economics. A summary of this project is: what problem does it currently solve? Nothing. It's not live yet, but that's no biggie. We know that some projects are not live yet, and that's a good opportunity, What problem will this project solve in the future, and is it valuable? So it goes for professional data, such as LinkedIn, those type of markets. They want to encourage data exchange in these decentralized systems. They want to benefit both parties. Users retain control of their data. Applications receive compensation for their data. More benefits to all parties involved. So imagine that you put your data into something like LinkedIn, and you would be receiving job offers constantly because your data. If you're looking for a job, you would have more of those opportunities. You can get better wages because more employers and more apps could see your data. And one reason I mentioned that, LinkedIn, $15 billion, they took away their API. They have 30,000 apps that failed because they took away their API. What they're saying here is that LinkedIn doesn't have an incentive to share its data because it wants to drive users to its website. And so all of these businesses failed that were surviving on their APIs. That's what an API is. It's a back end. It's a back end connection for applications so that they can communicate. And what they would do is use that data. They say in their white paper that the professional data market is 200 billion. I don't know where they're getting that from. Once again, I said like LinkedIn is about 15, so the US is about 20, and the world something like 40 or 50. But there probably is a significant market for this data other than those applications. So I think that they absolutely do have a valid market here. Consider that if here I am reviewing cryptocurrency projects, for instance, and imagine that there would be an application that could access the LinkedIn APIs if LinkedIn was sharing its data. And you would be able to get an assessment of team strengths automatically. I wouldn't have to go into such a deep review. I could obviously go into a deep review, but I would be able to do it on one website instead of constantly having to go to LinkedIn to investigate the team members. I would be able to, this application that would be accessing that data would automatically do a lot of the vetting for me. It would take a lot of my workload away. So I would absolutely say they have a valuable thing here. And you could think of the countless different applications, such as I've outlaid, that could potentially connect to an API and use it for their, streamlining different, parts of the professional markets. So yes, I think this is great. Hopefully this will make the world an easier place if they come up with something that works, and about encouraging data exchange, encouraging users to use this application, and encouraging the application to share its data. If they capture 1% of that 20 billion market, LinkedIn market, that would be a 10x for them. Obviously, if it's $200 billion market, that would be 100x for them. And I honestly think that when you make things more efficient, you grow the pie. So it could be that this company even allows for this market to expand and grow because they create efficiencies by allowing for APIs to operate like that. So I do very valid business models, very valid points, and that tells me why Web3 gave them a grant. And does the team have a track record showing they deliver? Yes, they do. We'll get to the team later. But yes, as far as I'm concerned, Web3 grants is as much as a vet as you would need. But I did, of course, investigate the team. So does the token have good token economics? Yes, it does. And do they have a lot of room for growth? Their target market? Yes, they do. Ultimately, I arrived at the conclusion that I did invest with this. The con is that it's not live yet. The pro is that it's a low cap, which honestly, there is no low caps on Polkadot. This is going to be a Polkadot parachain, most likely, seeing that they got that Web3 grant. That's the reason I started from the bottom and moved up with, like Polkadot has almost every project on Polkadot has performed extremely well. This project is a lower market cap. That's the reason I'm taking a look at it. And as I can tell, it looks pretty good. Yes. So far as business goes, they're going for a specific data market. If you look at the Ocean protocol, they're going for data markets as well. But being specific in the business world, especially before you're live, before you have a niche, that's actually a good thing, because you could provide services that others cannot by being more customized to that niche market. But you do want to establish relationships and establish something, so you don't want to be too niche oriented. You want to make sure you find someone who needs your services. But once again, they're not live, so they can't really do that. Over 50% of their supply has been released. And as you reach that 50% mark, the downward pressure significantly is reduced exponentially. So let's go ahead and get this thing rolling. I do expect price performance. That's why I invested. I do expect future demand to increase. There is no current niche. They're not serving anyone. So how could their niche possibly expand if they're not servicing a niche right now? So let me go ahead and get rid of that. That they cannot contribute, Future market excitement, I'm uncertain about from price momentum. They had old hype in 2017 and 18. That's why I have this current awareness. They were aware. They went through the ICO, but they're obviously still working because they got these grants from Web3. Social media awareness, I put it as medium. You can see this as bullish or bearish. So people were aware of them back in the ICO craze. YouTube exposure is pretty low, 27,000. Here's where they got that exposure in 2017. The project has about 42,000 followers on Twitter. So that means people were aware of them. So I'm pretty sure most of the people that were in the ISO craze have sold out. So that means they potentially could buy back in if this project gets momentum. They're going to be launching. I'll go over their important dates soon. Before marketing campaign, not the ICO campaign, obviously, but when they launch, they're going to be going for businesses. So I would say yes. So major upcoming events, mainnet launches in Q3, and the tokens move to mainnet in Q4. And that's going to be a Polkadot parachain, most likely, considering that they got a Web3 grant. And that they're talking about validators. Yeah, so they're moving on to the Polkadot chain, which, hey, that's where you got to be. Polkadot, it automatically integrates you into a whole ecosystem of projects. Web3, Polkadot's where you want to be. Okay, so that's very bullish. And that, obviously why everything on Polkadot's bullish. Money needed to move prices to decrease. I put as uncertain. So they have 5%, they're above that 5% inflation. They're going to be at 5% inflation running starting, 2021, and plus, their team releasing supply. So that's a substantial amount of inflation, but, not the worst. But I do put it as red because anything over 5% I consider red. Token holders could also vote for the supply release, but, they have validators who are going to be receiving that inflation. So I put, it hasn't really pumped. I mean, it's a $15 million market cap. So this pump, how real is it? Obviously, it's a decent pump to go 4x in 2 months. But when you're this low of a market cap, you have really low liquidity. So not a lot of people really got it at that super low price. So it's not super negative. Total supply distribution, the rest of the tokens, that 50% is going to be released over 25 years. So they have a good plan with that. You can check out my sources if you want to know the exact release schedule. But we've already reached that 50% mark, so that's a substantial, considering that this project's been live, a third of the tokens were sold in token sale. So that was a lot of negative pressure. It doubled the amount of tokens, roughly speaking, going from 30 to 50. So now the downward pressure is going to be a lot less, especially as they're going live. So there's a likely that they will see some decent price movements in the future from that alone. A low market cap, 35 million market cap. All right, let's go here. Tokens on sell side to decrease. I put all of these things as uncertain. Tokens per person that go down. It's on a lot of exchanges, so it's not difficult to acquire. Once again, you do want to get a project when it's difficult to acquire. That's when you can see a lot of price opportunity. So you want to be one of those guys that's hunting weird exchanges, and be careful with that. But obviously, that's where the opportunity is, the weird exchanges. All right, so Polkadot is easy to use. It's not live, so, that can't really be anything. Okay. Did I say this project is easy to use? Yes. Okay. Nick Lambert, CEO of MadeSafe Coin. That's, if you're wondering where he went, this is the project he is now running. He did get that project to go, from nothing to 400 million. That's an accomplishment in and of itself. When I was reading through his LinkedIn, a lot of people were saying this guy's a good marketer. He's good at getting people aware of stuff. So that's good. A lot of the team members, the CEO's marketing, a lot of them have experience in professional data, such as remote.com, outsource.com. Oh, and one thing I didn't mention before, consider that this project is coming out at the perfect time for remote working and outsource working. After this COVID situation, a lot of businesses are changing their models for people to work remotely. So that makes this whole business model even more valid. Take that into consideration. So there's definitely a market for this project, a pretty substantial one. Lead developers, they have all verified credentials. There's a lot of developers that have been validated and vetted. So a lot of their experience is in professional data. So that's exactly what we'd want for this project. It's like they knew what they were looking for when they hired a lot of these people. So the current team is good. Ocean Protocol is their competitor. That's a broad focus. It's also like almost 10 times more valuable than this. Narrow is better before you actually are servicing someone. So from businesses as books, as far as I'm concerned, because you're more likely to fit needs of businesses. So it allows you to get a footing. Strategic partnerships, Polkadot Web3 grant. So as far as I'm concerned, that's good enough. And that's what I was looking for, to see their partnerships. All right, so the protection from custodial exchange voting, they have a 20-day lockup unbounding, which protects from voting that is not in the interest of the network. So I think that's a good, that protection is there. Those who bought in are voters. Token, so this is a typical governance. The token holders vote. So that's a good business model, at least for the token holders, because if the token holders are in control, they represent the price of the token. So I do expect people to come on that favor the price, and long-term vision to favor price. High value upgrades, I do expect that to happen. Value of services provided to increase, I do expect that. Their weakness, they don't have the best mission statements, and why. The universal problems existing with data providers, that's what their kind of mission statement was, but it wasn't super good. That's why I put yellow as uncertain. Developer compensation, vote for, and the release of the token and the validators, all of that is set up pretty well to establish developer pay and motivation. So we can see those services provided to continue to perform. So high value people are going to lead to good marketing in the future. Obviously, the CEO's skill set is marketing. So when they want to get people, they're going to be good at doing that. I put all this. Okay, so if you're wondering why all of this is yellow, it stems mostly from the fact that this isn't live. So how could you get less people using it if the project is not live yet? Because no one, the niche isn't contributing, and it's not easy to use, meaning you're not currently on ramping people. So that's the only reason. But obviously, getting in a project before it launches is better. In some cases, because it's more risk, but it could be better because you have more upside potential. Obviously, that's the two go hand in hand. Risk and upside potential usually go hand in hand. Usually. Your goal as an investor is to find cases where that is not the case, where the market's being delusional about something. And so this project is, I think this project's just under the radar. It's one of the reasons I'm investing. I do expect large business models to buy this token in the future, especially, because who's going to be the biggest consumer of professional data, of employee data? That's going to be the people, the business. So yes, auto rankings, APIs, etc. As I mentioned earlier, I do expect that if they are successful at getting people onto this project, you could imagine a pretty substantial API market, and that will drive demand for their token, especially from businesses. So, there's a lot of upside with that. They do have a fee burn model. I have not seen it mentioned again since the white paper, so you might want to check in. I'm going to check in with that again when they do finally launch to see if they're going to stay true to that fee burning. They mentioned it as a potential benefit, as a benefit of this project. But once again, since they're restructuring everything around that parachain, whereas when they first wrote the white paper, they couldn't foreseen a parachain on Polkadot. So you want to see if they're still going to have that token burn, and see, so yeah. What the tokens used for services, they're locked up for validators, voting, data consumption. It needs the tokens. So like those APIs that are accessing the platforms will need to pay using the doc tokens. They receive that data. And, that's where you'll see those token burns, which pay for, the user data. But it was not mentioned again since the white paper. And so I would be adamant about that to see where that goes. And the value of the target market, pretty large. At publication, the market is 571 times larger. In the white paper, they claim it's 5,710 times larger, coming from those $200 billion market. But once again, if you create new efficiencies in the market, you can actually grow that market. And I do see this as an opportunity to create more efficiencies and to grow that market. And that's an overview of the Doc project. I am bullish on this project. It is a parachain. They have that partnership with Polkadot, so they will automatically be connected to that Web3 consortium of future business.